팀 경기장 도시락.
All right, guys, here we go. Getting things started on Atlantis Spaceship, and in the blue, representing the team FX Open Esports, it is Lucky, IPL 3-year runner-up. Very good Zerg player, and he's going up against our red Protoss player from the team NSHoSeo. It is San.
Righty-roo. So here we are as
Righty-roo, neighbor.
Indeedy-do, neighbor. We have PVC starting things off. Of course, it's PVC. We only cast PVC. You know what? I think the gods have decided you guys have cast so much PVZ over the past few weeks that we are going to bless you with a tournament that has 12 Terrans in it, and that's going to be our tournament of champions.
I guess it just shows you have to be careful what you wish for, right? You know, sometimes it comes true.
Yeah,
that's right. I'm still looking forward to it. I'm one of those crazy people that actually likes TVT. So and it is fun. If you don't like TVT, you should, because it's a fascinating matchup. It evolves constantly, and we've got some of the best TVTers out there in this tournament. So yeah, it is going to be really, really cool. And there will be some matches that are not TVT as well. And who knows? Maybe a non-Terran will make it out of the round of 16. It could happen.
Yeah. Well, there's some extremely strong players that are represented.
Hero,
so
they both have a really good chance, I would say.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people pulling for life as well as the lone Zerg representative.
The lone Zerg, yeah, he's not much of a swarm anymore. Now he's just kind of like a little, kind of an infestation in the tournament, I guess. But speaking of infestation, the spawning pool going down for Lucky right now. Not getting any gas or anything like that quite yet. As we've seen a lot lately, we're probably going to see that 3 hatchery before gas build from him. Most Zergs are doing it these days, and San looking like he's going to go for that Nexus first.
Yeah, playing nice and greedy, of course. He is going to put down a pylon to block his opponent's base. And it looks like that's actually, he was saving up for that Nexus, but because he expended the 100 minerals to put down the pylon at his opponent's natural, decides to put down that forge just in case he gets a nice dose of early lings.
And there's the expansion going down at the 3rd now for Lucky instead. So yeah, he's like, I need to get this hatchery down now. I can't wait anymore. There it is. So he's satisfied there. And the pylon was canceled, so he'll be able to put his next one down at the natural expansion pretty quickly here. And the question is, will San decide to try to take advantage of this, do some sort of like +1 gateway timing and try to kill off that 3rd, since it is a little bit riskier to have the 3rd go up before your natural like that. But in general, we've seen Zerg players be able to defend that fairly well.
And San has a good read on his opponent, knows exactly what he's up to. And of course, Lucky is going to make sure that he has the lings to be able to successfully put down this hatchery in a bit. It looks like he will. He's going to have that 300 resources there. And
there it is.
And there's a hatchery.
Yep. That's right. And yeah, so things kind of progressing more or less normally. I mean, San, despite the fact that he did kind of get his opponent to start their first, second base at the 3rd, instead is, you know, walling off like normal. He's got the cannon there. A little bit of a gap, but we'll probably see maybe another building added in there. Otherwise, you know, we've seen a lot of Protoss players just be content to block that with like 2 zealots early on. Things like that as well. Yeah, he's putting the cybernetics core a little bit farther back.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he doesn't have to worry about those Zerglings right now.
No, not with that cannon there.
Plenty defense for him. So, Lucky finishing up that 3rd hatchery now. It's about 60% of the way done. And has he transferred any drones over to the 3rd yet? No, just relying on production cycles from that base for now.
Yep, still making some drones. So yeah, it's going to be a little while before he's got enough to move stuff over there. So I'm really curious what San is going to do. The last time he played in the tournament, he played against Gumiho, obviously. That game he went for Warp Prism builds. He does enjoy doing Warp Prism stuff, and it works well in Protoss versus Zerg as well. But lately, we've just seen a lot of +1 gateway timings more than anything out of Protoss and PVZ. And there's +1 already, yeah. So Protoss players are loving getting these early upgrades. Some of them stick on +1, some of them go up to +2 right away. But either way, I mean, these fast upgrades are so popular right now in PVZ.
It works pretty well on this map as well. You can cut down that walk distance with either Warp Prisms or just Warp Gate technology in general, forward pylons. And back on the Lucky side of things, he has actually done nothing but just drone up. He's sitting on 35 drones now and continuing to produce off of those 3 bases. And we see on San's side of things, there is a robotics facility coming up there. It is being powered from the low ground there.
Yeah, so I think we probably are going to see like a +1 Warp Prism attack here. That's pretty good. San's very good with his micro too in general. So I think it's a good choice of builds for him. Gas now going down for FXO.Lucky. So he's going to start moving into his next tech path. We usually see the Evo Chamber, the Roach Warren, and the Lair pretty soon after all of this. Yeah, there's the Evo Chamber right now. You do generally see the Evo Chamber first, just because if you feel any sort of like suspicion about what your opponent is doing, you can get that Spore Crawler up at the front to protect against things like DTs, and you can also have the option to throw some down if Void Rays show up and stuff like that. Yep, there's War Prism for San.
Yeah, War Prism is coming up, but you know, Lucky actually waiting on his Evolution Chamber a little bit this go-round. He did decide to put up
just a Roach Warren. Oops.
Yeah, Lair Tech coming up now, and we'll see if he decides to move into that here in just a bit. I assume he will. And the Overlord has got a pretty good read on everything, has seen the Robo, has seen the 4 gates up now.
Yeah, so it should have a pretty good idea about what's coming. Did the War Prism finish, or did he cancel that actually and make the Observer?
It did finish.
It did, okay. So there he goes. Picking up that Stalker as well. Nope, not picking it up. The Stalker's actually just going to walk.
Yes.
You know, it walks about as fast as the War Prism flies, so that's actually okay.
I suppose it'll get there in enough time, but ooh, War Prism actually has to watch out. It may fly right across the vision path of this Overlord in a second. Looks like that's what's going to happen.
Well, I've got a feeling that Lucky kind of knows what's happening anyway. Yeah, so if he's watching his minimap, he should see that War Prism now as well. And I see the Stalker coming across too. So he's going to be able to start producing units. The unfortunate thing is he just made a big round of drones as well with this. So he's going to be a little bit light on units here for this. He could make a big round of Roaches if he chooses to right now, although his supply is a little bit low. Yeah, he can squeeze out 7 Roaches and upgrades, but will it be in time?
Well, he only had 4 available larvae there for a second. Now starting to enter Roaches slowly but surely, but more Warpins are hitting for San, and as +1 weapons is done, these Zerglings do virtually nothing against the gateway units that are already sitting out there. Not the best Force Yields in the world, didn't really take care of that Queen, unfortunately, but these Roaches are just popping out so slowly at the moment. We'll see if they can actually get any traction. Good! Micro, though, from San to pick up those sentries inside of the War Prism right away.
Yep, that's right, and he's just letting his Zealots focus on the hatchery, and they will get it and do a lot of damage to boot as well. And that War Prism is going to get away perfectly fine. The Queen not even hitting it yet. And San, he's done his damage. He's done everything he needs to do. He's going home. He's a bit behind on supply, but killing that hatchery is really, really going to help even things up. That's huge.
It really is, and he's behind on supply because at the same time he was attacking, he invested in 3 more gateways, so he's going to be sitting on 7 gateways and a robotic space, so he already has Colossi coming out.
Yep, and this is going to be a very strong follow-up as well. He knows that Lucky really isn't going to have the resources to make a lot of Corruptors or anything like that as well. So San has basically set himself up for a very, very strong follow-up attack that's going to enter. That's going to kind of focus around +1/+1. He's probably going to wait for his second Colossus and then go for it. That's kind of the general timing that you see. But man, he is really just in a great position to go after Lucky here in a little bit. Now, the thing that Lucky does have going for him is the burrowed movement for the Roaches. However, I believe San does have an observer out there. Oh yeah, there it is, sitting right over the Roaches. So that burrow is going to be pretty much negated too. So that may not actually work out too well. Lucky going for it, but I don't know if this is going to be enough to take out what San's going to have by the time he gets there.
Yeah, San already producing a number of Colossi. Could start his 3rd here in a second as soon as the pylon finishes up, which it has. And actually dedicating towards a couple of Warpins there of Zealots for now.
It's a lot of Roaches, you know?
It is a lot of Roaches. In fact, it's 34 Roaches total on the field. Of course, not all of them are in this group. This is 23 of them.
Yep, he does have +1 weapons as well. He's going to check for that 3rd, not find it, get a couple Zealot kills, it looks like.
Yeah.
But if they can be split up, that can work okay. Remember, Burrow isn't going to be much of a factor because of the Observer.
Yeah, and Lucky, is he tearing away with part of the forces, but he's getting a good portion of them actually just separated. That's actually some pretty significant losses.
Well, he tried to buy his other Roaches time to get away, you know, just sacrifice a few to save, you know, most of them, but the Stalkers can just chase down those Roaches so easily, but once speed kicks in, maybe a couple are going to get away. Yeah, sacrificing a few more there, waiting for that Roach speed. It does finish.
There he goes. And now he's on
in
creep.
The NOS.
And on creep at the same time. Man, that's like a double boost right there.
But this is kind of the push that San wanted to do anyway. It's minus. No, he does have the 2 Colossi too. So yeah, San was probably planning to attack at this point anyway. So this works out well for him. Lucky actually going for a counterattack now.
Yeah, and the Colossus is going to retreat to the high ground there. A couple more a couple more cannons are actually morphing in at the moment. This hatchery is going to fall here momentarily. And San actually just powering past this, and he's going to make his way up to the natural as soon as possible. Full-on counterattack, though, for Lucky.
Yeah, that's right. Lucky's just going for it, man. And San is supply blocked right now, but he's got such a huge army at Lucky's base. Don't know if it's going to work out for our Zerg player in the end, but that is a lot of Roaches in San's base. San, though, just doing tons of damage. to Lucky. Both of these guys kind of trying to trade as best they can. The
Wow.
drone's even showing up. Hello.
All right, well,
Wow.
it looks like San is just going to retreat away with those probes as best he can.
Yep.
We'll see if Lucky has enough to start turning the tide. If he actually depowers a couple of those pylons, the production for San is entirely shut down, but the same can be said for San, as he is entirely shutting down Lucky's production just by neutralizing these hatcheries.
Yeah, exactly. Lucky's making 12 Zerglings. Those are going to last all of about 0.0000001 seconds when they come out against those Colossus. So it's not really going to help him a whole lot. And with that observer out there, it's not like Lucky can kind of stealth his way around the map and try to get a good position on San's army. So unless San just kind of like forgets to make pylons, he should be okay. Those Zerglings are killing quite a few probes. Okay, there we go. Now they are surviving, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, just going to kill all those Zerglings. Lucky not quite paying attention to that. And that should be about it. San actually going home with most of his army because he's got enough to just sit there and kill the rest of what Lucky has.
Yeah, Lucky actually not prioritizing the Nexuses, unfortunately, though. And that means that San is going to have the opportunity to start reproducing some probes here in just a second. He does have enough roaches out that it looks like he'll be able to start whittling away these Stalker numbers, but that came at the cost of almost all of his drones, so...
Yeah, I think San was definitely hoping to catch that army. What's the worker count right now for both these players? 30 to 22, so it's still fairly... Well, I mean, it's not even, obviously. Lucky's way behind here, losing all his bases, but the worker count is similar, so...
Yeah.
But... Again, with only one base for Lucky, none of that really matters. So forget everything I just said, really. That's about it. One Stalker manages to get away in the warp. Lucky him.
A good save there.
Yep,
well done,
right.
San.
Stalker's like telling the Warp Prism driver about the time he was a DT. Then how it ended badly and he became a Stalker.
All right, well, here comes Drone Attack Part 2 as Lucky's barreling his way through the middle of the map.
He just kind of did a lap around the middle of the map or something like that. I mean,
That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if he
Zerg
can
NASCAR, apparently.
power through. Oh, that's frightening to think of. Let's see here as Stalker's going to pick off a couple of poor defenseless drones there. One survives. I don't know how. And Lucky...
Here we go.
Going to try and push in. He's going to go for it, and Force Field's already there, and he just has to burrow underneath and take the damage that he's going to suffer as he makes his way out.
Now, that's a lot of roaches, and San doesn't have Blink or anything like that, so he's going to lose a lot of these Stalkers. In fact, the Roach is doing a ton of damage here. San trying to micro those Colossi back. One falls, and it looks like even though the Roaches were able to kill off one of the Colossi, yeah, it's just going to be going to be enough, and it's now 74 supply to 27, and I think we can safely say San is probably going to win this game.
Yep. Unfortunately, Lucky's dead. And
looks that way, yeah.
Let's see, San now
GG.
almost triple his opponent. There's the GG, and NSHoSeo has taken game number 1. Not an all-kill for them this time.
No all-kill for FXO this time, that's for sure.